We now know ICE detained 475 illegal immigrants here, and Homeland Security says it's all part of a deep investigation into illegal workers.
Okay, let's dig into this. I'm sure you have heard about this massive ICE raid on the Hyundai battery plant in Georgia. However, did you know the person who called this in also made a video?
And I was the one that reported the information that I had to ICE, but it goes beyond just someone working illegally. Let me explain to you.
Yeah, so that video is out there. In fact, I think there's a lot of details people are missing about this story, so I want to make sure you guys are well informed about everything. Now, before we start this video, make sure to please like the video. It's the #1 way you guys are helping this channel, but it also helps others see the videos as well. It's a massive help, and I think people need to be informed on what's really going on here.
There have been more than 53 EMS calls to the Hyundai megasite in Bryan County since April of 2023. 14 of those calls were for traumatic injuries. We've spoken to several people that work at the plant that say there is not enough concern for safety on the site.
Okay, let's start with this. The broadcast you're seeing, this occurred on December 13th, 2024. So before we even talk about today, I'm just trying to show you guys, back in 2024, under the Biden administration, there were already a ton of red flags on this construction site.
Yes, Mike, the workers that I've spoken with say that they feared for their safety day in and day out on the Hyundai site. So why not just walk away? More than half a dozen people that have ties to the site tell me that many of the workers feel trapped and exploited because of their immigration status.
Again, this is from 2024, and whether or not you agree with this deportation raid, the point I'm trying to make is this wasn't a random raid. This entire facility has always been on the radar for the federal government, especially Homeland Security when it comes to deportations. And just to show you guys why context is very crucial, this is from Senator Warnock of Georgia. The Trump administration owes Georgia and the country an explanation as to how this raid, which separated children from working parents, advances the president's stated immigration priority of removing dangerous and violent criminals from our streets. But again, like I showed you guys before, this plant has always known to be dangerous for those people working in the plant. So if you didn't know that prior context and you're seeing this, you're like, wow, this is random. How could they do that? Okay, so the person who made that complaint to ICE, her name is Tori Braynon on TikTok if you want to go give her a follow. But here's what she had to say.
So there were 452 illegals apprehended at the Hyundai mega plant construction site yesterday near Savannah. And I was the one that reported the information that I had to ICE. But it goes beyond just someone working illegally. Let me explain to you. These people are working for slave wages. Some are not getting paid. Some are being trafficked. They send money home to their country. They give money to their handler. They have hardly anything left.
Real quick, before we continue, make sure to please subscribe to my channel so I can keep you guys updated with stories just like this, where the mainstream media misses a lot of facts and details. I want to keep you guys updated, so make sure to please subscribe. Okay, so when I first saw this video, I couldn't confirm any of this, and that's why I wanted to give you guys that prior context, and I am willing to bet or assume a lot of people in this comment section don't know what the full context is. She is absolutely right. If you go look into that news report we just saw, a lot of these people were terrified to say anything. They were not asking for more money, and that is why there were so many illegal people working there. We will talk about what this actually means to be an illegal working there, because it's not necessarily an illegal immigrant. The majority of people who were apprehended were overstaying their visas, and that's where we get into the technicality of things. We'll talk about that later.
They live in homes 5 families deep, have no quality of life. It's modern day slavery. So if you think that ICE is just going in and ripping people out of their jobs, these hardworking people that want a better life, well, guess what? Politicians have really screwed these people, because when they came here, they thought they were, hey, the border's open, we're coming in, we're going to get the 5-star treatment, and we can go to the big Walmart, and we can live in a 5-star hotel, and that's just not how it is. It's very bad conditions, very inhumane, and the Biden administration started a humanitarian crisis So y'all can't just look at it like they're ripping good people off the job. They're probably saving their lives in the long run.
Okay, and again, if you go into her comment section, a lot of people are super upset. I saw people say, how do you know that they are not okay with living with 5 families deep? Things like that. So again, according to her, the reason why she made the complaint was not necessarily because they were illegals or illegal immigrants. It was the inhumane conditions.
Saying workers' undocumented status on the site is what keeps them there despite all the safety risks. The bigger concern is deportation.
We were up in the lift one day, and I guess there was a supposed ICE raid. Well, we're looking down out the lift, and I mean, people are just bolting across the field, hopping the fence on 16, running towards the parking lot. And we're like, what in the world is going on? And then somebody said ICE is on site, and it actually shut a lot of the job down for 2 days because all the workers fled.
And again, in context, that is from 2024. So you already had a prior ICE raid. The feds were already identifying this area as not a safe place. There are illegal immigrants there. But to amplify what this person is saying on the screen, she's right. There were illegal immigrants there living in inhumane conditions and working there in inhumane conditions. Now, as far as why did she make this video? Why did she have the need to tell everybody she made that call? I have no idea. But nonetheless, everything she's saying happens to be true. And if it wasn't, I would call her out. I have no problem in doing that.
All of this coming after federal immigration agents conducted what they're calling worksite enforcement. Want to show you that scene from this afternoon. WTOC obtained this video from someone who was there as the search unfolded. Sources inside the site tell us ICE came with Humvees and other agencies to search the entire site, not just where the construction is happening.
Okay, when it comes to so many illegal workers working at this plant, you had illegal immigrants and then you had kind of illegal immigrants. Let me talk about this. There's a lot of confusion. So when you overstay your work visa, that is a civil offense. When you come into the country illegally and you're in here illegally, you're not supposed to be here, that is a federal offense. Basically, Homeland Security, they're trying to figure out who's going to get what punishment. Because a lot of the people who were apprehended within this raid, some of them were just straight up illegal immigrants. Some of them came into the country legally and then are here illegally. So the punishments are actually not equal. And that's why we're not getting a ton of details as to what exactly is going on behind the scenes. But that is also why South Korea has to get involved. A lot of the people who were apprehended in this plant were South Korean. And when you have these policies of work visas or education visas, things like that, these are political friendships between countries to show that we can work together. We can work in your country, you can work in our country. We are friends. So for South Korea, this is a horrible look to know, hey, a ton of your people are in our country illegally. They've been taking advantage of us. How are you going to repay us for this? Basically, South Korea actually apologized, and they're going to send a charter flight to pick up the South Koreans and bring them back to South Korea. This is why it's very crucial to make the distinction to see what the penalties are going to be from the United States on these illegal immigrants and the people who overstayed their work visas who are now illegal immigrants.
Omar, good morning. With more than 450 people apprehended, this marks what appears to be one of the largest ICE raids at a single site in the 22-year history of this agency. Now, here's what we know. This happened at the Hyundai Meta plant site. This is in Ella Belle, Georgia. This is just 25 miles or so west of Savannah. And according to the Associated Press, this raid stopped construction of this factory that's being built to produce batteries for electric vehicles.
Okay, so this was not the biggest immigration raid ever, but it's up there. This is a really big raid, but I think a lot of people are overlooking what this actually means for the Trump administration. The implication from the Trump administration, they're just trying to raid everyone. They're going after people who own the taco stand, the hot dog stand, the slushy stand. Well, no, now things have changed. It looks like the policy for the Trump administration administration is, look, we're not only going to focus on the mom and pop shops, there are illegal immigrants and people who have overstayed their work visas who are working in production plants, facilities, factories where Americans can have this job. So this is a whole new level of the type of raids we will probably be seeing, but this takes a very, very long time to put together. So I will not be surprised if we see more raids like this, getting away from the agricultural type raids like the cannabis farms or like the strawberry patch. I don't think we're going to be seeing a lot of that in the future. It's going to happen. I think we're going to see things that really hit home. The auto industry, auto plants, manufacturing, these jobs where the everyday American, they could have had one of those jobs. So we got to look at things politically speaking. This is a very big move for the Trump administration, and it definitely works in their favor that this is a good look. Americans can now work here, and this is what the Trump administration has always promised his voters. So I'm just trying to give you guys that angle of things. Now, by now, nothing surprises me, but I want to make sure to show you guys there is a whole other side to this story. There are people who are not happy with this raid. They are seeing it as dividing families apart. This is a horrible look. Families are not going to have their mothers and fathers who were providing for them. So I'm just trying to show you guys, look, there are people who are not supporting this raid or what happened, but it's in the context of separation with families. Not so much that this is ruining the American economy or Americans could have had that job. Nothing like that. More so, we're seeing politicians, lawmakers, and protesters say, how could you separate the families? So I want to be fair here and show you guys there's a whole other side to this story. It's not everybody who's happy that now more American jobs are open. That is not the case.
This same site, this same project, this was touted by Georgia's Governor Bryan Kemp, who called it the largest economic development site in the state's history. Now, we have video that we're showing in pieces here of masked and armed agents there at the site, giving out orders while officers raided the facility. We can also see workers here in hard hats and vests. They were lined up as this was ongoing. On site was ICE, Georgia State Patrol, FBI, DEA, ATF. They were executing, Omar, a search warrant that DHS says is part of an ongoing criminal investigation into this, quote, allegations of unlawful employment practices and other serious federal crimes.
Okay, so I think this goes without saying, but I want to clarify here, this was not a random raid. Whenever you see one of these massive raids where the ATF, ICE, everybody's involved, these are with judicial warrants, the proper evidence, everything is good to go. So I don't want you guys to have, again, the implication of a random raid. I also want to point out, not everybody had masks on. I mean, literally in this video, this guy doesn't have a mask, and this guy over here. And we can go through the footage, but you're hearing, again, the common terminology for people who don't support this. Agents, masked men who are plucking people away, things like that. So I'm just trying to show you guys, again, there's a whole other side to this story that there was a judicial warrant. This was not random. So whoever tells you this was random, that is not the case. We have already proven to you this has always been a red flag for the government, and this facility has already been raided before.
The lawsuit alleges that Rincon, along with another worker, were never paid raises that they were owed and were never given overtime pay despite regularly working over 40 hours a week.
It was really hard. They treat us very different. They will talk to us like if we were in the army. They would call us names, many times undocumented.
The parties settled the lawsuit, with PPE Trading Co. agreeing to pay out over $43,000, including back wages and attorney's fees. The settlement hasn't been approved by a judge yet, but when it is, the company has 48 hours to pay.
And again, that's from the 2024 interview. Now, what I'm realizing is I'm not seeing too many politicians or people who are mad at this. I'm not seeing them reference 2024, and I'm not seeing them if they're well aware of what was going on. A lot of these illegal immigrants, they were treated like absolute trash, horrible. And look, They are humans at the end of the day, and that is actually an argument from conservatives, is that you guys are so for illegal immigrants that this is what's happening. And now we actually have a high-profile case where illegal immigrants, they were treated really bad at this plant. There are plenty of testimonies that prove it. Now, Homeland Security, according to them, this wasn't only an illegal immigration raid, this was also a worksite raid in order to make sure people are safe. So there's a lot of layers here, not only like ICE going after illegal immigrants. No, it's everything in the perspective of legal worksite, illegals working at the worksite, people overstaying their visas. Pretty much this entire facility was such a red flag for the federal government. They were just attacking it from every angle.
Meanwhile, Hyundai says it is cooperating with law enforcement, saying this: "We are committed to abiding by labor and immigration regulations." And meanwhile, Omar, on this same day, hundreds of miles away in upstate New York, another large raid at a work site. Dozens of workers at a family-owned plant that makes nutrition bars were also apprehended during an ICE raid.
I told you guys, this is not going to be the little candy bar stand or the taco stand or whatever kind of stand. No more mom and pop shops. These are indicators that the Trump administration, they are starting to change how they do things. They are starting to go after the workforce because, as many of you are aware, Americans, even in the Republican and conservative camp, people are not too happy with this current economy as far as trying to find jobs. So for the Trump administration, they are very reactive in how they do things. And for the Trump admin, if they're going after work sites where Americans can get those jobs, that is really good press for the Trump administration. I'm just being honest here. I've been following these stories since day one. This is what we see. A lot of reaction. You guys remember the Trump administration said, hey, we might not go after the farmers. We're just going to leave them alone. Republicans were very mad at that. And then all of a sudden, more farms were raided. So that there's clear evidence the Trump administration, very reactive. So anyway, this is the story. This is what we know right now. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to please leave your comments down below. God bless, and we'll see you all later.